Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Don't know about you guys, but we've just been having some beautiful weather, had some pretty good storms last night. So hopefully that means our fire bans are being lifted because here in Alberta it's been dry. Hasn't been super hot. Last couple of days have been hot, but yeah, just dry. Anyway, today what I'm going to be working on is couple of cards, and what I want to demo is a product called Lunar Paste. This is by Simon Hurley from Ranger, and it's a like a texture-based paste. So if you don't have Lunar Paste, you don't have to have this specific kind, but if you have any kind of texture paste, maybe you've got, see, I've got the, sorry, it's got my press and seal on it to make sure that it stays airtight. But this is the Astro Paste. So this is a glitter paste. Maybe you have, I think there's Astro Brights. Tonic has a bunch of them. Ranger has a bunch of different kinds of pastes, whether it's texture paste or a, what's the other word that I'm looking for? Like a mixed medium that you can add colors into and then put through a stencil. Essentially, all of those techniques, this will work for all of them basically. But yeah, I had picked these up. I've watched a few of his videos. His product looks really nice, and I really liked the shine. So these are two of the cards while I was playing that I made. Our football team here in Edmonton, where I'm located, is called the Edmonton Elks. Used to be the Eskimos, but now they're called the Elks because it's more politically correct. Their colors are green and gold, and my husband's friend, they both go to the games together. They really like it. And yeah, so I made him a birthday card. So I thought this is, it's got a little bit of shine, but it's not too over the top. Really nice for a masculine card. So yeah, so let's get on with some of the techniques. So those are the two examples. So because this is, we need to be able to play with these things. I've already done some so that it's dry, but you can see the amazing shine that you get from this stuff. This is on white cardstock. So in the two colors that I have here, I only have the two. The kind of the champagne-y color is called cookie dough, and the green color is called Later Gator. Now, Simon Hurley has a whole host of products. He does dies and stamps. I think he's got some embossing folders. He also has a whole brand of inks. He's got cardstock, like white, stark white cardstock, it's called. Um, yeah, and he's got apparently some very, very good dye-based inks that are just supposed to be very excellent. I haven't tried any of them. These are the first of his products that I've tried. This kid, he's amazing. He started when he was 16, started designing his own products, and so now it looks like there's more and more coming out in the States. At Michael's, you can actually pick up some of his products. I don't think we have a ton here in Canada yet at Michael's, but you can certainly pick them up at any good craft scrapbooking store or card making store, or order them online from the States, whichever. But you can get these. But I think that he's putting out more products now, as it seems like Tim Holtz may not be working with Ranger anymore, or putting out any more products. I'm not sure what's happening there. I'm not, certainly not up on the gossip of the lingo and whatnot. But it sounds like he won't be doing more of his distress line. I don't quote me on that. I'm not for sure on that, but that's what I've heard. So maybe Simon is stepping up and creating some more products. I don't know. But this is what it looks like on the white. Okay. This is what it looks like on black cardstock. And so this is partly why I got this, because I wanted to be able to do this on darker cardstocks and still have this beautiful shine. Because you never know what you need as your base, but I really love this beautiful shine. So it's opaque, it sits on top of the product, doesn't sink in. So then you can get beautiful effects when you use it through so this is on a very dark green cardstock, and then just through a stencil. So this is, I was trying the Astro Bright, which is this will probably not going to use this one in this video, but these are again, this is like a glitter paste that you can put onto your paper. and then you don't get any rub off. So you get the beautiful shine if you're a glitter person like myself, but you don't like having the loose glitter all over the place. This is a more environmental way as well because it goes exactly where you put it. It's not coming off. Once it's dry, it's dry. So it can go on top of the green here. So I've got the green and then the red a little bit. So you can see the green underneath the red, but you still get the red sparkle. This was to do maybe like do a die cut out of. Same thing here. So this is the red. Look at this sparkle on black cardstock. Like look at how intense that becomes on the black cardstock. So it's again, it's a glitter that will show up and you can use on darker cardstock, which I thought was kind of cool. So that's what we're going to play with today. So I'm going to put these aside because these are what I'll make the card out of. But I want to show you a couple of techniques for using this. So the first thing that I'm going to do is let's do stenciling 101 kind of thing. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to mix it on. I've only got the one black. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull these out. So what I've got on top of here, this is press and seal. It's Glad press and seal. Oops, sorry, that's upside down. Glad press and seal. This will seal airtight your surfaces. So this was actually created by the husband of Jennifer McGuire, oddly enough. But yeah, I highly recommend this if you do get products that are a liquid form or a gel-based form, or that you don't want to dry out, because this will create an airtight seal. So once you've opened the product, so for example, right, so it has the little sealing lid and it will be sealed on the inside here, but once you've peeled that up, you've now exposed it to the air, and this does not always airtight seal. Just the cap does not always airtight seal. So this will grip right to the top of your bottle. So you want to yeah, so it's a handy product for that. Okay, so I'm just gonna turn these inside out so I don't get too much on myself, because we all been here. We know what it's like when it's Korean using this stuff, right? Okay, so for me, so I've got a palette knife here. So this is actually just a scraper. It's not my favorite one. I have one from scrapbook.com, but you know, I cleaned my craft room and now I can't find it. So this is what I'm going to use. And basically this is just a sharp edge to pull my product across through a stencil kind of thing. What I like to use, so you can spend a lot of money on a craft tool that is like a palette knife or a whatever to pull it out. I got this from Dollar Tree. It's a Betty Crocker silicone spatula. What I love about it is on this side, it's got a really nice flat edge. So I can actually use this edge to pull my product across. But on this one, look at how small this is, and it fits into all of these jars so simply, just right at the top here, just like that. So I can scoop out the product like this. And I want to try and what I want to do here is I want to create this same effect as this, where I'm kind of mixing the two together, but I want it to have the texture. So all I'm going to do is put my product on my paper right like along the edge here. And I just am going to use this part of my palette knife and kind of just drag it across. Okay, I'm going to make sure that I get as much of the product off as I can. So I'm just kind of squidgying it down. And I'm just bringing, I want the strokes in this, basically. I don't want to hide it. I want it to look like it has those brush strokes in it, because that's kind of the point, right? So I'm just going to continue to kind of pull off a little bit of the product there that's stuck on my spatula. Now I'm going to grab a baby wipe here. So all of these products are water soluble while they're wet. Okay, they're a dye base, so I can just pull a baby wipe here, drag it right off. See, comes into the baby wipe, comes right off. So while it's wet, it is water soluble. As soon as you let it dry, now you've got a problem. You're going to have to pick it off or whatever. So if you're using a stencil or a stamp or whatever, you want to make sure that you're getting that in there, getting it into some water as soon as possible. Okay. So now I see, look at how nicely this just fits in there. Now I can go in and I'm going to scoop some of the green out. And I'm going to come along. So it might be a little bit too much green, but now that I've mixed it into the kind of the champagne color, I don't want to add that back into my bottle because it would cross-contaminate. So all I'm going to do is just keep dragging this back and forth like this. And we can add some a little bit more texture here like that. There we go. Bit of green here. I want a nice mixing, almost not quite an ombre effect, but a nice mixing. So now what I'm going to do, because I'm going to be using this later, I don't want to wipe this off onto my baby wipe and just get rid of it because I can use this a little bit later. There's nothing wrong with this product. I just don't want to put it back in my container because it'll then contaminate the container. But what I saw that I thought was really cool. So if I were to just leave this as it is, there's nothing wrong with this. It's going to basically dry and it'll look similar to this. Obviously, it'll be a little different because of how I mix the colors and stuff like that. But I'll have this beautiful shine that is dry to the touch, has texture to it, because again, dimension and texture is life. You follow Laura Bosson. Yeah, but look at how beautiful that shine is. And so it will dry exactly like this. But I saw something, I was watching a video, because of course that's what I do, is watching a video. And Simon was showing some of his favorite ways to use these texture paste, basically, these lunar paste. And one of the things that he did is he took a stamp, like a large background stamp. Ooh, look at, I'm going to be so shiny there. A large background stamp, and he stamped it directly into the product here and then lifted it out. So what I'm going to do is I have this large kind of star background because I think this will be really pretty as generic, but also I could use it as a Christmas card possibly. Let's see. So I've got a large, this is a, yeah, 5.5. So 5.5 inch by 5.5 inch kind of square stamp. You can use any stamp that you have, but I'm going to give this a go. I don't know for sure if this is going to work. I saw it work, but again, I'm winging it. And I've just basically got it on one of my cutting plates because I don't have a block that's big enough. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to kind of position it over the top, which is nice because my plate is clear so I can see through it. And I'm going to put that down and I want to squish my stamp into. So now I don't want to push too hard, but I do want to make sure that my stamp is getting full contact with the texture paste. So I'm going to give it a moment here, kind of squish it on through. Now I'm assuming, yep, okay, kind of what I thought. It's stuck to the plate, which is fine. Let's put that to the side there. Ooh, cool. Look at what happened. So it pulled it off in a few places. So now that texture is going to be stamped into my card for when, or my card front when it's dried, right? So that texture is going to be in the paste now. So I'm going to put that aside to dry because I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. Now, the other thing that he did after that was he took what was left on here. I don't know, there's not a ton, but I'm going to give it a go and we'll see what happens. Because after all, it's only paper and we're just playing here. So there's still a little bit of the green on my stamp here. You can't quite see it, but it just, oh, maybe you can. There you go, a little bit of green. So I'm going to take a little bit of water and I'm going to give it a spritz here. Because like I said, these are all water soluble, right? So I'm just going to give it a bit of a spritz. I might have spritzed it too much. Okay, because I want to reactivate that. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to stamp it down and see what will transfer of the lunar paste that was pulled up onto the stamp. Let's see if anything happens. At worst, it's a piece of white cardstock and I turn it over and use the other side. So let's see here. Ooh, very interesting. Okay, so it did actually get a bit of a pattern. then I can use that, like trim this here and a little bit here. I've got a card front, put a nice sentiment on it. It's a very simple front, but we'll just put that aside now to dry. Now I'm going to take my stamp and I'm going to give it a wipe down. Again, I told you that this is water soluble, so I'm just coming in with my baby wipe, giving it a wipe down. So, and off of my glass mat here. Go. And take my cloth and give this a wipe. There we go. Stamp is good as new. There's no residue in any of those crevices. So there we go. Okay. Now, second thing that I want to do, or I'm going to show you here, is fairly simple. Don't know what I did with the packaging for my stamp, but I guess we'll just put that off to the side there. Pretend you didn't see that. Okay. Now what I want to do is I think I'm going to take a piece of white card this time. And I really did like how this stamp, sorry, it's not a stamp, it's a stencil, looked on that one card that I had done. So now this is traditionally what most people do with a texture paste, right? Is you basically put it through a stencil. So I'm going to tamp this down here. I'm going to tamp that down and I'm going to do the same at this side. So now I've still got a little bit of green on here. And so I'm just going to come along and kind of push that through onto my stencil. Okay. And the best thing that you want to do is you want to lay your spreading tool flat as you can. That will get your product off of your squidgy. It's a squeegee or a little spreader tool. But the flatter you go, you'll get a thin coating, but it will also take it off of the, you can see that it spreads up to the top. It goes up the plastic as it moves along. Okay? So if you want it to come off of there, you can basically just take it and you just need to lay it flat. So now what I want to do is I'm going to take a little bit of the cookie dough and I'm going to put that on my spreading tool. And I'll just kind of move it out a little bit here. That on. There we go. And I'm going to take this. And so because I've got enough on here, I don't have to worry about cross-contaminating. I'm going to leave the green as it is. So I'm just going to come in here and kind of put that there. This is going to mix in a few of the places. Ooh, somebody with a loud motorbike just went by outside. It's going to mix into the places where the green was or where the green has already laid down. And I can go over and pull and drag a little bit more. Pull and drag, laying it flat again. I don't need a full coverage. I just want a majority of it coverage, right? Like that's all personal taste. And I don't need to clean this one off yet because I'm not dipping it into my green. But this one now I'm going to take and I'm going to do a little bit more green. Oops. Yeah. Tip into the tool. Ready. And now, let me see here. Kind of liking, let's go from here. So we're going to have kind of this two-tone effect, which is kind of what I've been doing because I only have the two colors. Well, actually I have the three because I have the glitter one as well, but that red glitter is very much a kind of a Christmassy thing. So maybe I'll pull that out in if I do some videos if I get my act together and actually do some videos for Christmas in July this year. I'm aiming to do it, so we'll see if I get to it. Things have been pretty hectic here at home. It's as I don't know if I told you guys, but basically after Mother's Day, we hit family celebration time in my family. And so every weekend from Mother's Day on, we have a family birthday, Mother's Day, Father's Day, niece's birthday, then my mom's birthday, and then my husband's birthday, and then we have Father's Day, then my nephew's birthday, then we're away on vacation, and then it's my dad's birthday, then it's my birthday, and then at the beginning of August, it's my brother's birthday. So it's a crazy time of year for me. And you know, I'm making an effort to kind of starting a grain brokering business with a friend. And so yeah, things are busy. And which is good. Keeps me out of trouble, sort of. So while this is still wet, I want to clean off my tools because again, once it's on there, once it's dry, it's on there, right? Well, I mean, you can scrape it off with a nail or something like that, but you do have to put a bit more elbow grease into it. So let's check this out now. Now, I didn't use any pixie dust. I am not Tinkerbell. I didn't use any pixie spray on the back of my stencil because if it's not perfect, I don't know if you guys can see this here, but on this particular one, this is the stencil. This is what this stencil will look like. But you can see here, there's a couple of spaces where it missed. I think that just adds extra texture and depth. I don't know, there might be a place here too where it kind of went underneath the stencil. That's fine. I'm not, this is a because it's kind of mixed media, I don't need it to be perfect. I just want the depth and the texture on it, if that makes sense. I don't know why sorry guys, it's a little distracting with all the hand gestures, right? Okay, so I'm going to pull that up. Yeah, there we go. So you can see, look at, I don't know if the depth will actually come through on the camera, but look at, and I ended up getting this really beautiful two-tone effect in a few places where I've got both like the cookie dough, the champagne-ish color, and the green. So that's going to be really lovely. That's going to make a really nice card base, card front when I get to it. So something else too, when you're working with stencils and pastes and things like that, it's a really good idea to run your finger along the edge. You can see here because that will it'll dry like that, and you'll get those kind of like a hard crusty edge. So it's nice to kind of just pull that off a little bit. So I'm going to put that aside someplace safe to dry. I guess that's going to be over here. Okay, and now I'm going to give this all a bit of a clean. And let's not get this on the back there. So let's do this first. So you can see that didn't take long because it's not a very thin coat. So this did dry onto my glass mat. So now I'm just going to give it a bit of an elbow grease, put a little bit of a fingernail behind it, and kind of push to get that clean there. And I need a clean baby wipe. And give it a good wipe here. Now, again, this is not going to, even if I do have a bit of residue on here, it's not going to impact the use of my stencil. The one that does concern me sometimes is the ones that have the glitter, because the glitter will, if it dries in the corners, it can impact how well it transfers through, and it might block some of them. So you get an odd shape or something like that. So the glitter one, if you've got a gentle enough brush, I'll sometimes take a brush to it. But these guys, it's just a texture paste and it'll come basically through as long as you give it a good wipe like that. Wipe this, that, and then I'll get the back side because some of it did come through here. Now, again, if you were using a much more delicate stencil, so for example, if I was doing this one, I would really have to watch as I'm pulling on the edges here because that could rip my stencil. So you want to be careful when you're scrubbing out your stencil. Sometimes giving it a little bit of time to just soak in some water, that can work too. If you're doing a large crafting session, which is usually how I like to do it, if I'm going to do this and I'm going to make a mess, I usually like to make the mess all at once. So what I'll have is I usually do like a little garbage bin or a little Tupperware container down beside my desk filled with soap and water, right? That way then, and then I'll throw my tools. Once I'm done with the stencil, I'll throw it into there so that it can sit in the water and then it doesn't have a chance to harden up per se there. There we go. Okay, all clean. I'm going to move these out of the way. Stencil, clean, usable. Okay, just needed a little bit of elbow grease. And I'm going to do this here. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to show you, I'm going to reseal these up because that's all I need these for today. So I'll show you what I do here is I usually just pull out. I don't know that I need to use a new one every day or every time I open it, but I tend to get a bit of schmutz on the bottom of it. So that's usually what I end up doing. So it's just easier. So one side is very sticky, can feel it, versus the other side. So the sticky side is the side that I want to take, and I'm going to push it down so that it seals on the lid, like right along the top here, so that there's no extra air that is going to get into there. And then I'll just close the seal on top of it. And then if I want, like if I was feeling picky, I can go in and trim this. Press and seal also for people who like to do die cut inlay, or if you have a very complicated die cut and you're trying to put it together, or you're checking out how do you like if you like the layout, or you finally decided, oh yes, this is perfect, this is how I like it. What you can do, especially for things like letters or something like that, can often take a long time, right? So you can line them up on your straight surface, and you can actually use, so figure out which design you like, and then you take your press and seal, push it like this, push it down, it will lift and attach to all of your die cuts. Then you can turn it over, put your adhesive on them, and then take that, put it to your card front like this, and it's all held exactly where you wanted it, right? Like especially if you're doing floral layout or something where you've got tons and tons of flowers that you've tucked into like a vase or a whatever, and you want them fairly specific. Same thing with like I said, with letters or something like that, and you want to make sure that you have the right spacing, which can often be very difficult. I'm not as picky on my spacing on my letters. I usually tend to wing it, but there are some people who just can't wing it, right? That's not a thing that they like to do, and that's perfectly acceptable. So that would be one way of being able to have that nicer layout for yourself. Okay. Don't know if that was my scissors or just the press and seal that is not very well doesn't cut very well, but there we go. So these are sealed up, and so I can leave these now for a couple of months, and I should be able to go back to them and they won't be dried out because they have been sealed from any external air. Sometimes you'll see people in the crafting industry, like they'll put a spray of water or something, like they'll take their sprayer, spritz it with some water, and then seal it up, which is fine. The challenge is that you have to watch and make sure then that you're using distilled water, because if you're using just regular tap water, it will have or microorganisms and things like that in them, which when you seal it, because it's a moist environment, you'll get funky stuff in there, possibly mildew, whatever. But so you want to watch that. Okay. So that's my tip or two for the day here. So now let us proceed with making a card. So I don't know how I managed to get quite as much on my fingers, but I did. So that'll just wash off with soap and water. But I'm just going to work with that. So let's see here. So I did this background, which I think is really quite lovely. So I think that I could trim this down and do a square card if I've got, let me see here. I think I do. So let me let me make sure I have a base first, because I might be lying, and there's no point in getting the base and stuff done if I don't have the square one. Good question. Sorry, guys. Base. Nope, that's not a base. Must have used them all for my okay, I guess I'm not using that one then. Let's take one of these weird ones and make something out of that then. Oh, I just stuck my, that's so funny. Okay. So ideally what I would do is trim this down. I can do it on an A2 size as well, but what I would like to do is trim this square so that it would be, let's see here, 4.25, and then put it on like a 5-inch card, right? So a 5x5 square card. I would have a matting layer, like, you know how nice that would be with that. That would be really lovely. That's an option. And then a simple sentiment, because there's enough shine on here that would be perfectly lovely. But seeing as how I don't have that here with me, I don't know where my pieces are, so we're gonna roll with it. We're rolling, rolling, rolling. All right, so which one do I want to use? If I do, let's see here. So if I do this, I can cut my sentiment out of this green, I think. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so let's do this. So the first thing that I need to do is I want to trim this down to have a nice panel sized, because this was, of course, this was cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I'm going to cut this because I'm actually going to want a nice matting layer. So let's do, cut an inch off and I'm going to go further in. So that's 1 and 2. There. So I'm basically taking almost 1/2 inch off all the way around, or well, 1/4 of an inch off all the way around, so that my card panel, this black part, is going to be, what have we got here? We've got 3 3/4 by 5. Okay, so that's going to be the base, and that's because I want to be able to mat this. So I've got some other shades of green here. Let's see, I'm gonna put that down. And let's see what we've got here. So I could do it black on black, so you wouldn't even see the edges. That's kind of neat. I've got, nope, okay, I've got this different green. Okay, doesn't really pop off of that particular green. It's kind of a green. That's kind of nice. This brighter green here. Kind of a leaf green. There's black on there. I think I like it on the lighter colors, possibly. Go that. Or I've also got this crazy shine. Look at how cool that is there. That might be kind of neat on the black. Then if I did a black card base, yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this down so that it's a nice card base size for or card front size for an E2. So let's see here. So I'm going to cut this down to 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, so keep those because always go keep the strips, keep the strips, keep the strips. All right, so look at that. That's going to be really cool. But what I want to do is I want to have this as my base for whatever sentiment I want to use. Because I think what would look really cool is if I were to cut out of this green and then popped it off. So I need seeing as how I'm always in the market for birthday cards, I'm going to look at these two. That one. And so let's have a looky-see. All right. So on the front of here, this is what my sentiment would look like. So we would do happy birthday. Could do a happy birthday on there. That's quite nice. Or about this size. That's kind of cool. Just really states it. Would leave me room for another sub sentiment. How big is the shadow? So if we do that, that's kind of cool. What do we think? I think I like that one. Okay, so put this to the side. So I'm going to cut this out. So the shadow I want to cut out of this, out of my metallic. Sorry, it's not metallic. It's mirrored cardstock. And I just got to pull over my die cutting machine, which I've got everything drying on because it's up. Let's see. Okay, cutting plate 1, and magic mat. Because I am doing a open piece, I don't believe that I will need the shim for this first cut. I'll probably need it for the second cut though, but let's run this through. And that popped out like butter. That's awesome. Okay. Now, what I want to do. So now what I'll be able to do is this, right? Be able to put that in just like that. Nobody will know, right? If you know, you know. Okay, so now what I'm thinking though, what I want to do is I want to cut this out. I'm going to cut the happy birthday out of this green that I have here. Let's see if I can get it mostly without the red sparkles, the red glitter. So let's give that, whoops. So I'm going to add, because this is a fine detailed sentiment, I'm going to add in matting in my metal shim and then my magic mat, which I will cut into. That way then I'm not damaging my plates. And let's see here. Where do I want to go? Maybe go there. I think that's going to avoid most of the, yep, most of the glitter. Save the glitter for another day because you just can never have too much glitter. Well, that's not true. Sometimes you can't have too much glitter. And I'm sure there are many people who feel that way. Including myself, surprisingly. I know. For the people who know me, you're shocked and beside yourselves. Okay, so did that cut really well or not? Yo, yes, it did. Okay. There we go. Look at how nicely that popped out. So this is the other thing that's nice about using texture paste is you can, you can die cut with it then too. So once you spread it onto your paper, I've now created kind of like a sheen cardstock without having the plastic on it. So it makes it much easier to cut out, which is nice. If you've ever had to cut out um, plastic, like the tried to cut out either metallic or mirrored or holographic cardstock, it can often be quite the challenge. Okay, so I was thinking about this, and I think so. This is what this would look like. We've got the green on the shiny green, right? Okay, so that's what that would look like just on its own. But I think what would be really nice is to add a shadow effect and just kind of offset the happy birthday with a bit of black. I do have my black here. Okay. Do I have, oh no, it's over there. Oh, I don't want to use this. This is good black. Let's get some not good black cards. Ah, much better. Okay. This is just thin stuff. The other that was 110 pound. I don't want to cut up that for just for a die cut. Ooh, no. All right, so now I'm just going to cut this out of black. And then what I'll do is just off center or just slightly to the side, create like a shadow effect on the green, like the black on the green. And actually, if this cut nice enough, which it did, I might do 2 layers of the black, which would be good. Okay, so let's do puppy. Pull that out. Birthday. Okay. So ideally, what should be nice about this is that even though it's got some shine to it, it won't be so in your face that this couldn't be used as a masculine card. Like I said, this is this green and gold is the color of our local football team. So could certainly make that work without it being too feminine or in your face for some men, right? Or some men don't mind flowers. Some have a problem with a lot of bling and a lot of flowers and shine. Never know, never know. All right, so I don't think I'm gonna need these anymore. Oop. And pop this out. Pop these up. Nothing like working with fine detailed things. Well, you've got a set of coffee shakes here. Okay. All right. Okay, so I will clean out my dye later. Put that to the side here. So my garbage though, because I'll sneeze and shoot those all over the floor, I'm sure. Put them into the garbage. There we go. Okay, so what I need now is a stamp block here. Put those to the side. And I am going to pick up my die cut and I'm going to use my Sweet Petunia glue press, and I'm just going to add a little bit of liquid adhesive in a few spots here. Again, it's paper, it's lightweight paper, so it doesn't have to be fully stuck down. If this is something that you don't like doing, all of this little fiddly gluing, that's fine. You can actually, there's a new products out on the market called sticky specs. And when you put them together, you can uh, basically you just rub them on there's sheets that have thousands of little micro glue dots on them. Oops. And so it allows it when you rub your die cuts onto it and kind of burnish it in, it deposits tons of little die cuts for you onto there. Die cuts. Nope, that's not the word. Tons of little glue dots is the word that I'm looking for. You can tell when I'm focusing, it's like, oh, that's not what I meant to say there. Okay. So catching just a couple of the areas here. Like this, and I'm gonna basically match this one up as much as possible. Doesn't have to be perfect. I know you're all shocked, right? Okay, so then I'm just going to put this down and have a bit of pressure so that kind of helps it bond to the layer below it. I just about said below it. That's not a word. So my plan is, here's what I'm thinking. As you can see, we've got this really, again, the holographic mirrored cardstock. So now the green would show up on there. That's not bad. There's nothing wrong with that. But what I think might be a little nicer is if we do the black like this, and then just slightly offset the green. Let me see if I can get you to see that there. So now it looks like there's a shadow. So it pops off just a little bit more. Okay. Also, because we have bumped it up, so this will technically be 3 layers of die cut, then usually that will also help create that extra little bit of shadow as well. Even if we weren't adding the extra layer, like putting it to the side, just having it popped up a little bit will add a little bit of separation from the green below it, because we're doing, essentially green on green. This is how you make cards when you're doing like a white on white, which is a beautiful technique and something that I'm planning on. I will eventually have an upcoming video for that. That's on my rotation of things that I want to work on. But this is a way to add that dimension and show that you've got like the differing colors, and to again add that dimension so that it doesn't look 2D or flat. Like especially with white on white. White on white is very classic, but you need to have the dimension to add that bit of interest. Okay, so I'm gonna stick this down and let that adhere. And I'm going to do the same thing with the happy. Happy, happy, happy. Right. So how is everybody's, I guess technically this is spring because it's only May. I was going to say, how's everybody's summer? We're not at summer yet. I'm just, I did some planting this weekend. I wasn't planning on it, but yeah, it ended up, my husband built a beautiful planter out back last year, and I put a bunch of perennials in it, and I was pretty happy because we only ended up losing 4 of them, and I think I put in like 20 or so or whatever. And so, those ones just didn't take super awesome, but that's okay. Like, so 4 out of 20 for me. You guys know I don't have, well, you may know, you may not know. I don't have the best green thumb. I tend to take care of my plants pretty well until about mid-July. And then I pretty much say, well, if God wants you to live, he'll rain, he'll give you sunshine. Or Alan takes care of them actually. I just get to the point where I'm like, and I'm done. And yeah, so I was pretty impressed. Because I wasn't too sure on some of them, and I didn't take any special precautions on anything. So I was pretty happy with how many made it through the winter, because that's it's always the thing here in Alberta. Some days I'm not even sure I'm going to make it through the winter. Well, actually, that's not true. I really like winter, but some days January does feel here in Alberta like it is a 12-month process sometimes. Can. Again, adding a little bit more adhesive, liquid adhesive to the back of my. So this die cut, so you can see the dimension. This is now 3 layers deep. And I don't know if you'll be able to see. Let's see if you can see. You can just see the edge of the black. So I just put it slightly to the right. So the green topper is just slightly to the right of the on the black, so that it gives it an extra helping of shadow. Okay, in place. Okay, that's it. Okay, so while I'm waiting for that to continue to adhere, I'm going to put together my card here. So seeing as how we're doing this beautiful black base and the black on the bottom of the card front here. So I'm going to do so this is a standard A2 size, should be. Yep, 4 1/4, 5 1/2. Good. Okay. It's always nice to check the measurements because you just never know. So again, this is what I cut my sentiment out of, but I'm going to put that here. Nobody will know the difference. And I'm going to add in a little bit of adhesive. I just want to make sure that I'm catching just kind of a little bit around the edges here to make sure that that's not going to lift underneath my card. Okay. And that in. Attempting to get it as straight as possible. Nice thing about liquid adhesive is it does give you a skosh of wiggle room, little time. There we go. With that, switch, my thumbnail. There we go. Okay, and now the interesting thing is, I was thinking I was going to do this way, but I think because I've got I think I want to do the happy birthday because it's the green. I want to do it on the kind of like the champagne or the cookie dough. But if I did this and did this up here, this would leave room for a sub sentiment here. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I changed my mind even as we were doing it here. So now I'm just going to take some liquid adhesive for the back of this one. Now I could pop this up too if I wanted. It does have a bit of a curl. It's not very bad, considering how much, this is just 65-pound cardstock that I used to put this paste on. So it's holding up pretty good for something that did take quite a bit of moisture, because again, this is all wet, right? So it's not got a ton of curling. You can see this one's got a little bit again. So again, but going through, you can just kind of work it into place and get the curl kind of going the other way. Same thing with this one from the stencil. There we go. And now, so it's holding in position very nicely. Now, so I want to take, I don't even know over there. Because this adhesive will dry clear, which is good. Challenge is on the mirror, you can still see a little bit on the mirrored cardstock. You can sometimes see a little bit. So I'm going to do this right there because I think that's going to be really nice. Happy with that. And so I'm just going to take my liquid adhesive. Now I've already got dimension. So technically this die cut is 4 layers deep, right? So you can see the thickness because there's the shadow, 2 layers of black, and then the green, the paste one on top. So I think for me, that's enough dimension, especially if this is something I might be putting in the mail. Not right now, because it sounds like Canada Post might be going on strike again. Yay. But at some point, Hopefully mail service will be reinstituted, or maybe they'll actually won't have to go on strike this time. That would be good too. Um, we'll see what happens. But in the meantime, got to make plans, right? So hand delivering or whatever. Actually, I sent out all of my June birthday cards super early because I knew that the strike might be coming. So wanted to get that done. But look at that. How cool is that? Now, if I was looking for a sub sentiment, I don't know if I've got one here, but let me pull one because I might. Okay. So this is not necessarily the one that I would use, but because again, this would be likely be more of a masculine card, but you can see here where it gives me room to do happy birthday or best wishes on your day or celebrate you. Wait a minute, there was another one here. So yay you, I think it was. Nope, not that one. Oh, come on. There we go. Trying to stretch. Short girl problems. Okay, so look at how cool. So this is going to be coming up in a video that'll go in July. This is done using a toner foil, but look at how cool that could be on there. But in the moment, let's see. Okay, that's not going to work. Thank you. That's not going to work. But okay, let's see. See if I can get this out of here. Come on. People are watching, people are waiting. Oh, here we go. So I could do, so is this happy birthday to my most favorite human. So if I were to take my trimmer, like so. Now I have some of these sentiments in black too. That's likely what I would use because I think this, the white is a little too stark considering how much black is on here. But take your trimmer. I'm just going to kind of square off the edges, trim it where you want it. There we go. Okay. Make sure you keep your fingers out of the way. Very, very important. So this is what I would do. So now this, if I was doing it in black, so it's kind of neat because it's got, I foiled this, so it's got green and gold, which kind of works with what I've got here. If I could, maybe I'll just darken it with a little bit of gray. Some gray dye-based ink. Maybe I'll try that. But look at how cool that looks. I like that. Just a minute. I had an idea. Let me see if I've got a dye-based brush here. I mean, I know that I do, but if I can find it, that's always the trouble, isn't it now? No, not that one. Which one is this? Okay. Sorry, guys. All these things that I wasn't thinking I was going to do. So I've got a brush here. It's going to need some dye-based ink in it. Let's do wrapper. So what I'm going to do is I've got my Lost Shadow, which is a distress ink. I'm just going to add a little bit of ink onto my brush, tap off into the lid. Always want to tap off into the lid. Okay. Then I'm going to come in and I'm just going to add, I'm just wanting to pull a little bit of the starkness because we did black, right? Black and gold and the green. So I don't want this to be white, white. But the shine from the foiling is still going to come through because foil resists ink, which is kind of nice, right? Are we liking that? Oh, that's much better. Much, 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 much better. makes it look, I'm going to bring in a little bit more here. So it's just kind of adding a shadow and keeping the darker edge to the bottom. There we go. Okay, that to the side. That away before I go and stick my finger in it. Okay, so now I'm going to pull out my tweezers here, just so you guys can see what that's going to look like. So you can see that it went from quite stark white, this is what it would have looked like, to now having that, which fits in a little bit better. It adds a little bit more grunge, which works because we've got all of these broken edges down here, right? So it does take it from that, ooh, like a ooh, that's really bright, to, oh yeah, that does fit a little bit better because you can see here it actually coordinates a bit more too with the kind of the champagne or the cookie dough color, right? So if I put that here, I would I pop that off? I don't know. Yeah, well, I'm going to stick this down because I'm actually really happy with how that turned out. This might be my dad's birthday card. I don't know. Maybe my brother. Depends on, if I'm considering him my most famous human at that time. My my favorite human. I don't know. I'd like to give it to Alan, but I've already got Alan's birthday card. I might have to save this for next year. The green and gold. He'll like that. So I could have popped this up. I could have put like some foam tape behind there, but I think that that's actually really nice because there's so much dimension on here, and that just finishes it. If I wanted, like on the examples, this one, for example, I used some Nouveau drops because again, I didn't want them to have too much depth on this. I wanted it to be blending in, but I still felt like it needed a little something, something. So you see how this has the sub sentiment that feels like it's got its something, something. And then this one, I actually used some flat back black pearls to just add just that little bit to draw the attention down here. All right, guys. Well, that's going to be the class for today. I hope you enjoyed playing with some Lunar Paste and that you enjoyed and if you don't have Lunar Paste, that's fine. Check out what do you have. It's not about buying a new product, but let's use the products that we have. So how do we do that? Creating our own backgrounds that we can use and creating our own shimmer cardstock, cutting out our die cuts out of them, using the sentiments, because then we have a color coordinated sentiment to go with it. You don't have to worry about having all the inks, all the everything. One package of whatever paste you have. You can do the same thing, right? Texture, putting it through stencils, all of those kind of things. That's what we want to look at here. Let's see if this is dry yet. So this is not, nope, still wet, but here's what we did with the stamp. That is going to be so much fun to add, because even that, I can trim that down and just put like a lovely Merry Christmas sentiment on here, or Star Shining Bright, or Love You to the Moon and Back, or yeah, lots of different options that I can do with this one. And it's going to keep that depth where it's pulled out from the text, excuse me, from the texture paste. That's going to be pretty cool. Even this is dry now, I think. Yep, dry. So this is the one that we had the water, took the second impression. Now, did it come out awesome? It did not, but that's okay. I'm really happy with this one. And this is just this extra print that I can use. I can either put this on the inside of the card, or I can turn it over and use the white, or I can create this and just cut this panel down and just use the area that it did transfer into. No problems there. All right, guys. Same as always, same, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you had a lot, hope you got a lot out of it. Remember to check your own stash before going out and buying some products. Check and see what you've got, what you'd like to use, what's available. How do you use it? If you have questions on any of your stuff that you're not sure, can I use it this way? By all means, please put a comment or put it down in the comments below. I do read them all. Remember to keep your comments kind. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe, share it with friends if you would. I'd really appreciate it. Take care, guys, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.